Hi to you all, my name is François Parlant and today I'd like to correct the exam of the strategic marketing and luxury students that we had today. You had to create a very nice dashboard just like this one, moving everywhere, all over the place, and whatever you choose, you had all the data. So let's start the correction. First thing first, when you receive a file, you have to observe it, to check it. So let's see, how many rows do we have? 5,900, almost 6,000, so that's a big file. And then you have some dates. Oh, that doesn't look good. If you want to use the timeline later with your pivot table, you first have to make sure that you have some dates here, real dates. So let's go into Home, Accueil, and let's change that into dates. If you don't do it now, if you do it later because you see that the timeline is not working, remember you will have to go into Data, refresh everything before the dates are included in your pivot table. So that's done for the first column. Let's see, what else do we have here? We've got some amounts in money, so let's put them in euro. It's very easy. Select everything and Control M for currencies, and you've got some euros. If you don't want the decimals because you think they are not useful here, just get them away. And it's done for the euros. Now, we wanted a rule that shows in red what's above, meaning more than 10,000. So select the data here. Let's check, what do we have above 10,000? And we want them in red. Okay, done. I think it's working. Let's check what we have next. Our next challenge is working with artificial intelligence. We have here some description, but we want to know if the article is made for women, for men, or for both. So how to have that here? I'm just going to start teaching the artificial intelligence. I put what we want for the first one. Then I go to data, instant fill, flash fill, and you know the shortcut will be Control E. So let's try it. You know, on your version it might not work, but here it seems to work. And we check. Everything seems to be working smoothly, so that's perfect. We can get on and go to our next challenge. Here the firm is trying to check the amount of sales which are bigger than 10,000 and when it's for men because they are targeting new products for men. So here we have something like an if, in French si, but how many conditions we want? We want and a big price and for men. So we need an and. In English it's an and, but in French it's an et. So here we want the sales to be more than 10,000 and semicolon, we want the target to be equal to for men. Close the quotes, and what mustn't you forget now? It's the parenthesis, the end of the end. Now, semicolon. I want to put 1 because ones are very easy to count. When you do a sum at the bottom, it works perfectly, so let's do it. Otherwise, let's put a 0. Closing the if, and we've got some data. And let's check this one. Yes, it's red, and it's for men, so it seems to work fine. Here we are finished with using only this sheet. Now we need to grab some data from another sheet. So this question needs to use a VLOOKUP. I'm going to here, Recherche V. I need the product ID and I need to go to the products sheet. So let's go there. Oh, I forgot to zoom again. Okay, select the data and add your semicolon. Which column do you want if you want the category? That's the first column, the second one, the category is in the third one. So hit 3. Now, semicolon. Do you want an exact match? You don't want another product number. You want the exact one, so you need to put false. And hit enter. And it seems to work. Here you've got some watches, here you got some bags, category seems okay. Now, Imagine if you want someone to input some data at the bottom of this file. You want them to write exactly bags and watches. Don't misspell it like bag sometimes, bags some other times. So let's make sure that we say which words are valid in this column. To do that, we're going to add a little drop down, a menu, and we go into data and we decide that there is a list of valid values that you can input here. So for example, here you're going to have bags with a lowercase, and I think I put watches in uppercase, but it's going to work. Here you've got everywhere bags and watches, and you can't input something else. So that's done. Now, what else do we need? We have here something like in the stores for each store in which country it's located. So if I want to input in front of each sale in which country it is, I need to do again a VLOOKUP, recherche V. What is going to tell me in which country it is? I need to have the store first, semicolon, go into the stores, select everything, semicolon, second column because you want the country and it's in the second column, semicolon, and again you want a search with false because it's exact match that you want. And you've got all the countries. Done for this one too. Okay, now we know we want for each country in which zone it is located. So if you don't know yet the VLOOKUP, you've got your last chance. Let's check before what's happening over there in the zones. We have the country, we have the zone, the capital, but I know AS, EU, AF. I don't know how it's gonna look inside my pivot table, so maybe I'm gonna change something now. And you know, there are many ways to change that. For example, I showed you a little trick. You can replace stuff in a page like that. So for example, you could do Control H, replace, and I think there is another shortcut. I think it's something in Home. You've got remplacer. Control H, I told you. So if you wanted, you could select the data and say that AF should be replaced by Africa. And it would be replaced everything. 58 replacement. So that's a way to do it. Actually, there is another way if you don't want to. You can insert a column. So that will be the continent, let's say. I don't know, it's an idea. And let's try to have a way to split that. So for example, I would say that's the zone, and here that's the full name. Okay, and that could be the continent. Do you think there is a way for us to replace that? I'm going to put that into a table. Don't forget to tick the box with Alt M. And here, let's check AF. Can I? Yes, instant fill works fine. And do you think it's going to do that in Africa? Again, data, instant fill. There is a shortcut working in next versions, Control E, and yes, you've got it. Now, how can you add continent if you have the zone? Again, a VLOOKUP works fine. It's the same thing as replace because we convert something into something else. I want the third column and I want something semicolon false, and here enter. Done for this one, and you can do the same in your sales. Let's try it. Égal recherche V. I take the country, I select, where was it? The zone. I'm going to select the data, semicolon. I want the continent, 1, 2, 3. So third column, and again, it's false. Enter, and now you will have the continent that should work for you. Here it is working. Okay, you know that the amount that we have are going to make very big numbers when we're going to add for quarters or even for years. So I'd like you to reduce that number and put it into K-euro. I know it's tricky because there are ways that works and ways that won't work in your chart. So let's do it the right way. Well, at least for me. First, you need to divide the amount of the sale. So let's take the sales and divide them by 1,000. So now I've got the sales divided, but they're not in euros anymore. No, they are in K euros. So select the data, right click and format the cell, and we are going to create a custom formatting. So if we want to have the thousands over there, look, we already have it. You need to have a dièse, sharp, space, sharp, sharp, 0, and then open the quotes, your K and your euro. And then you can close the quotes. And this time you have K euros, which is quite okay for now. The last question is maybe the most tricky one. Here we want to understand that the numbers, the values, should be replaced by the name of a range, and you have to create your own little table for that. And you have to remember that there is an order. First, you must start with the numbers, then you have to put the names on the right, and you have to put the numbers in increasing order. So what is the lowest sale that could be? 0, of course. Then for 0, the name will be XS, very small amount. When you start at 2Ks, you should have here something that's small sales. Then at 5, you've got M, and at 7, you should have L, and this go on, and above, oh, sorry, it didn't work. 7, you have L, and then after 10,000 euros, you've got XL. Okay, I'm going to make that into a little table, otherwise I would have to put some dollars. I think it's too complicated, so that's the start of the scale of the range, and that's the name of the range. I'm going to put that into a table. Now I can use that. Because I use some K euros, 0, 2, 2 is 2K, I'm going to use with this one. If you started at 0 and you put 2,000, 5,000, 7,000, etc., you can use the amount of the sales in euros at the beginning of this table. Égal recherche V, because we have to convert something into something else. I'm going to take the K euros here. I'm going to take the whole table, semicolon again. What I want is the name. It's in the second column, but this time I don't want an exact match. 4 is not here. It's between ranges. So I want an approximative search, which means I must put vrai, true. I close the parenthesis, I hit enter. 4K is in small, yes, from 2 to 5 seems okay. 6 to 7 is M, it seems to work fine. Now, if we want to create this dashboard, we have to make some pivot tables to get this chart, and to get those numbers. So let's check how to do that. First, we need to start from the sales. I click inside, I go to insert, and I'm going to add a new pivot table. Oh, I do love pivot tables. First thing, I'm going to create my numbers. So I'm going to call that my KPIs. Done. Everything we're going to do is about the sales, and mostly I'm going to use the sales in K euros. So let's have them here. If I want many times the sales to calculate them differently, I'm going to put that many times. The first one is the sum of the sales. The second one will be, for example, the numbers. And what do we have next? Maybe the average or something like that. Let's have the average. Now we have our numbers. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. If you want to put the numbers somewhere here and here and here, you can't do that above a picture without doing a little trick. And I showed you the little trick. You have to put yourself outside the pivot table and click enter and do it for every number for your KPI. Those are the cells that you need to format to have something great at the end. So let's try with this one and maybe with this one. I'm going to put them in K euros. So let's try format the cell, customize. Let's go at the bottom and we've got our K euros over there. So looks okay. Maybe for this one, because it's an average, we can add here a few decimals. And this one, I think it's better with the thousands, but we don't need the decimals, so no decimals. And now we'll have something for our dashboard with the numbers here. And we're going to do the other chart. So if I want to do the chart, I need to start from where I am. I'm going to create a pivot table. I'm going to duplicate this sheet. I click, I control, I move, I unclick, I uncontrol, and this is going to be a pivot about the target. So I can clean everything. I don't need that. I don't need that anymore. Perfect. What I need is something with the target over there, and it's almost done. What you have to do is to change the format. If you want to, you can double click and change the format to put that in K euro again, because I think it looks better. So you can have some K euros over there. Should be okay. And now you can insert your pie chart. Very nice. Here, done. And I always like to maybe add some values over there. Should be okay. And you can get rid of the buttons, right click and hide the buttons. So it makes something bigger. Looks okay. We can change that later to make more decoration. Now, if I don't want to make my Excel crash, when I'm going to duplicate this one to make something like, I don't remember exactly what we had to do, I need to check it up. In the to-do, we had to make it by zones. So let's start it. Pivot by zones. Okay. If I'm going to play with that, if I do something wrong and put too much data, this chart is going to be enormous and my Excel is going to crash. So the first thing before playing with that I'm going to do is delete the chart. Now I can play with that, undo the targets, put the zones inside instead, and I'm going to insert a new chart. And this way I avoid some of the crashing that you had today. What I'm going to do here is just add the values because I like that. I don't like the grid. I don't like the legend. Yes, no need. I don't want that because I've already got the values here, and I get rid of these ugly buttons over there and should be okay. Now, I want to have a nice dashboard like this one. How am I going to do that? First thing first, I'm going to take the charts. You can copy them, but actually, if I have many sheets over there, I think it's better to cut them so that I remember I've already got this one. I don't need to take it again. Sometimes I get confused. So I'm just going to paste it somewhere. Let's say here. I'm going to do the same with the other one. So that's the zones one. I copy it. No, I cut it and I put it into the dashboard. Let's put it there. So I've got already two charts. I would like to have something more. I'm going to need, if I want the numbers, remember, the sum of everything of the sales, the number of sales and the average. So I need something. So let's have some rectangles over there. Many of them. I don't know how many numbers I need, but it's going to be okay. Now, what I want is a timeline. Do you remember? We had the good idea to put in the sales, the first column into date, so it's going to work. Let's click on the chart. Let's go to Analyze, and let's add a timeline. And yes, it works. The dates are there. We've got our timeline and we can put that into quarters. So with that, we can do something like choosing some quarters, and you see it's going to move, but not everything. If I want the timeline to make everything move, I need to right click on it. I need to go to signaler les connexions in your version, connexion rapport in my version, and I'm going to select the pivot table that needs to make moving. Okay, seems to work. Now we needed something else. We wanted to be able to filter the data with a slicer, and what was it about? Wasn't it the categories or something? Let's have it here. I want that here, and you know there is a bit of formatting that some of you have searched. If you go into the options of the segment slicer, you can put that on a row horizontally to make things move. Almost everything is in place, but we still miss our numbers over there. I'm going to click on one of the rectangle. I'm going into the formula bar. I hit equal and I go to my KPIs to click and have the amount, the total amount of sales. I'm going to do the same thing here to have the numbers, and I think I'm going to do the same thing to have the average. Equal, go back to KPI and get the average. So what I can do with that is put that here. Look, if you don't do some filling, if you take away the borders, if you put it a bit bold and maybe bigger, and if you change the color, you have something that looks great. And look, it even moves. So that's a good thing. Now something is missing. Oh, let's put that a bit bigger because I can't even see them. If you check on the to-do, you have the percentage here, and I need to do that. Look here, you've got the filtered amount of sales, but if I want to make a percentage, I need the total amount of all the sales I have in my table. So how can I make that happen? It's very easy. Do you remember in our first class we learned that the sum function doesn't filter. So that's what we're going to use. Let's take in our sales table the data. Careful, if we take it in euro and compare it to K euro, it's going to be a big problem. So I'm going to add this one. This is the sum in K euro. Now what I can do is make the difference between that and that. So this ratio, you have to put it in percentage over there, and you can use it in your dashboard. Let's do it. You click here, you click equal, and you have a very nice percentage that you can use inside your chart. Once again, let's make that smaller and without any filling, and it should be okay. Now, what we can do is make sure that everything works. Here, did the connection work? Not yet, so let's do it. I want to connect this slicer to everything to make it move. We've already done that for this one. Let's check it again. It works. So now everything should be moving. Now that we've done all the work, we can have some fun with the decoration. If I want an image at the back, I just go here on the first page of the workbook. I'm going to copy the image and I'm going to paste it somewhere, wherever, here. And of course, you've got the image at the front. So right click on it and put it at the back. Now, what you have to do is take away the filling wherever you don't want it. So for example, here, usually I don't like, no filling here. What I don't want either is usually the borders. So take away the borders for this one and for this one. So let's try it. Contour sans contour. Okay, let's close this. We don't really need it now. Too much space. Done. What I would like is no border either here. So let's take that away. I think it's nicer without the white around. I don't know what you think about that. I'm going to select that and I'm going to put it maybe a bit bigger. Oh, that's very big actually. And maybe white. And you know what? I'm going to do that again here. Do you remember when you hit Control Y, Control Y, it redo what you've just done. So I'm going to click that, Control Y. I'm going to click that, Control Y, so that I make things white. And maybe you could even do that here and here. I'm not going to change the titles, that you can do, but you understand the principle of it. Now, last thing, if you want the timeline to be transparent, you need to do some stuff which is not easy. So let's click on it. You go into the chronology timeline, and here you've got the styles of the timeline, but you can't modify them. If you want to modify something, first you need to duplicate it. So you can give a little name to this style, but what I'm going to do is for the whole timeline, go to the format, and I'm going to change and click aucune couleur, no color. Actually, you could also say, I don't want any borders. That could be an idea, and you click OK. Now, you see date, the header, is going to be dark on dark. So maybe we can do is change the font color. I'm going to font and change that and put it into white, maybe in bold, and maybe bigger if you want to. It's going to be a bit big, but okay. Now, here you see this gray stuff might be a bit dark, so maybe you can change it and put, let's say, niveau temporel, the font could be white. And let's do it again for other levels so that we can see them. And, oh, I forgot on the other one, but maybe we can put bigger font too. Oh, it might be a big, very big, but let's say change the stuff that you want here, and when you're done, okay, hit OK, and nothing happens. Why? Because here you are still on the old style. You haven't selected the new one. Here it is. You've got the new one working and it's transparent. You can do almost the same here, but this one can't get transparent. Don't ask me why. I always shout at Microsoft about that. You go into the slicer, you duplicate a style, and then you go over there and you can change for a color, but you can't get it completely transparent. What a shame. So maybe I'm going to choose this one. Actually, it's going to be a bit ugly, but anyway, you understand the principle. As usual, it didn't change. You have to select the one you've created to make it work. So it's over now. I hope you've learned a few tricks that will impress the people in your professional fields. See you again sometimes. Good luck. Bye bye.